Hello, welcome to the Parenting Bears series #1. I'm so excited that you guys are here. We're going to do this every 2 weeks. We're going to have different topics. I know we sent out that survey, and so we're kind of gauging it based on what you guys were needing to know. And so this first session is all about virtual learning. Do all of your kids, are they engaged in virtual learning at this time? Thumbs up. Okay. All right, so we're just going to give you some tips and then how to manage that anxiety should they return to in-person learning. So let me go to the next slide. So first off, let me introduce myself. My name is Lauren Vines. I am the White Settlement ISD mental health counselor and secondary social worker. So I work at the high school and the middle school and then DAEP as well. We have Jenna Harrington on here. I don't know if she can unmute herself, but she is the elementary social worker. And so you were free to reach out to me or her at any moment if you have any questions regarding virtual learning or your students' progress, anything like that. I will let you know that I have never been a teacher. And so if any of your questions relate to grades or anything like that, I would redirect you back to the campus, their home campus. But I will do my best to answer any questions that you guys may have today. But there's my number, my office number, and my email. Please feel free to reach out to me at any moment. All right, so let's get started. The first thing I wanted to do for you guys was set you up with a quote. So an expert at anything was once a beginner, and that was by Helen Hayes. Guys, this is COVID and this is all new to us. We're all kind of struggling with work and school and finding that balance. And so please know that we as a district know you are doing your absolute very best. And we are here to help you in whatever way you may have. And so just know that we're there with you. We're there to support you. And this is a process for all of us. And we're all kind of just treading water and we're going to get through it together. Okay. All right, so these are the things that we're going to talk about today. And we'll go through them and we'll elaborate a little bit more, but it's learning. So we're going to talk about establishing a routine, creating a designated workspace, setting those boundaries between work and school and parent and teacher at the same time. We're going to talk about the importance of encouraging and giving those breaks to our students. We want to make sure that we talk about staying connected, whether that be through the district or staying connected socially with our friends. I'm going to talk about the importance of asking questions and asking for support. Finding that balance again between work and school, especially you parents. How many of you are working from home right now? Is there any of you working from home as you're also trying to teach your child? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to talk about finding that balance the best that we can. We're going to talk about assessing and adopting our child's progress in their learning as they continue through virtual learning. So the first we're going to talk about creating that schedule. So I don't know if I've met any of you personally, but the biggest thing I speak about when I teach parenting education, or even just in general, is talking to your student, having that open line of communication. So it's always a great idea to get your child's input before you set up an online daily schedule. Your children want to have a voice, and I will tell you a secret. When you give them that voice and that opportunity to speak on behalf of themselves, they're more likely to abide by the rules or policies or anything like that you have set in stone. So give them that voice, ask them questions. And these are some of the ones that you can ask. You can ask them, what time of day do you feel like you have the most energy? That may be a great way to gauge when to have your student do those harder subjects. If they have the most energy and say chemistry is the hardest one, maybe that's a great time for them to get that done because they're able to focus and have that mentality to focus on those harder subjects. You can ask them which subjects do they prefer to work on first, middle, and last. You can even ask them what courses are easier for them. So some kids, they'll like to do the easier courses first because that motivates them to continue on with the hard ones. So having them identify that and understand that is a great thing to do. Ask them if it would help for them to work on math one day and science another day. For the high school students who were all virtual, you can have them. Edgenuity is a great thing. So they kind of go at their own pace. So if they want to focus on math on Monday, then that's a great thing. They can work on science the next day. That way they don't feel overwhelmed going back and forth between each subject. You can ask how they would run things if they had it their way. That will kind of open up that line of communication on what they need and how they need to assess. Sorry, there's more people joining on. Assess what they need to continue with that learning process. There's some chats. Okay, so y'all aren't able to unmute. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know how to do that for you. I'll just ask you all to unmute yourself again. Jenna, if you have any advice on how to set this all on mute, that would be great.
That's it.
It says if you'll hold down the space bar.
Okay. I'm holding down the space.
Like if you click on the bottom left and where it says unmute, if you click on that, it gives you kind of directions for it. So if they're having issues getting unmuted, obviously right now that's not an issue, but for when they go to speak.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I thought I said it where anybody can unmute themselves, but I guess I didn't.
There's got to be something on like the website or something that explains how to do it exactly.
It should be in the security. You have a little shield on the bottom, and in there should be allow screen share, allow mute, unmute.
Okay, let's see here.
Little security.
Oh yes.
shield.
Okay, so yeah, it's the unmute yourselves is here. Let me see. Okay, hold on. Maybe I did it. Okay, now try to unmute yourselves for those who are muted. See if it works.
That worked.
Yay. Okay, I'm so sorry, guys. I apologize
okay.
for that.
That's okay.
Okay, so we talked about talking to your student. Give your student that voice that they need to feel like they're accomplishing in their key in their learning process. If they have a voice, they're more apt to follow the rules or guidelines that you set place as well as they set place for themselves. So step 2, be patient. I know we're coming up on the first 9 weeks, and so this is a trial period for your schedule. If your kids are struggling, this may be a great time to readapt your schedule and tweak it and modify it before your family as a whole is satisfied, and that is okay. With online school, fortunately, you can adjust your students' learning day as much as you need to. So be flexible and give it some time. You can try different schedules and routines and find out what works for you and your student. Of course, it's going to take some time to get in that groove and find a system that works. So be patient with yourself, and more importantly, be patient with your student. Okay, so step 3, accommodate when needed. So most students work best with a schedule. Kids like consistency. We as adults like consistency. If we have a daily routine and something kind of nudges at that routine and it's kind of off track, we become frustrated, and that's the same for our kiddos. And so try to have the same schedule every day when you decide and find one that works best for you. If your student is engaged in extracurricular activities outside of the district and their virtual learning, say for instance, they do gymnastics at an outside facility, or they play softball or baseball on a select team, adopt that schedule on those days. That's totally capable. That's okay. You can alter it, and that's the benefit to doing virtual learning. You want to also set a different schedule if your student has like a doctor's appointment or a dentist appointment. Maybe if Johnny has a dentist appointment at 10 a.m. on Thursday, then maybe on Tuesday, you and Johnny have a conversation. Okay, well, we have a dentist appointment at 10. How can we alter our schedule to accommodate both your learning needs in school, but also be able to go to the dentist without you feeling overwhelmed and stressed? And that's okay, and that's totally normal. And I think it's great. I think it's a great way. That's a great way to, again, to open up that line of communication for your kiddos. So I'm really big on this. Schedule time for breaks. Just as if your student wasn't in person and they were doing recess, or they get 30 minutes at lunch, or even 4 to 5 minutes at the high school to walk from one class to the next. Do the same for them at home. Students need time to re-energize their brain. So it's important for you to give them those breaks and incorporate that into your online school schedule. Something small, such as walk around the house, will kind of give those students the time they need to continue working and help them feel motivated. Breaking up that day allows that workload, especially for the high school kiddos and Edgenuity, to feel like it's more doable. And the reality is when our kids feel like they're successful and they're confident, they're motivated to continue forward. If they feel like they're overwhelmed, sometimes and oftentimes they'll develop that little bit of anxiety and they'll want to shut down. And so give them that time for a break and put it in there and tell them that it's okay. I'm not saying give them, 30 minutes to play Xbox, because that just may hinder their ability to go back to working, but definitely give them that time to step outside, get some natural fresh air, those types of things. Any questions so far? I can't see all your faces, but if you do have a question, please feel free to unmute yourself. Okay, we'll keep going. Step 5, you want to display this schedule. So hang this schedule at a level that is visible for your students. So for those of you who have elementary kiddos, use those pictures. You could have a picture of an addition problem or subtraction problem that reflects math. You can have, a volcano for science, or the state of Texas for social studies. Have those pictures if they're unable and they're not old enough to really gauge. Hey, at 9 o'clock, we're doing math. At 10:30, we're doing social studies. And you also want to have some sort of clock available for the high school kiddos. Have a clock next to them where they know, hey, at 10:30, I'm supposed to start science. For the elementary kiddos, when you hang this schedule up, put the numerical clock numbers underneath those pictures so that they can keep track. And that gives them that independence. And it also, for you, the parents that are working from home, it kind of gives you the ability to take a step back and let them have accountability for their learning. So hang it where they can see it. You want to display it, personalize it. They can have their name. It can be a poster board. Have them decorate it, especially for the elementary kiddos, because they would love that. But make it big, make it bright, make it understandable, where your student understands it specifically. Okay, so we're going to talk about this designated workspace. How many of you guys have a specific place where your student is working? And if you don't mind sharing, I'd love to hear kind of an idea of where it's at in your house and what's kind of around, if anyone would like to share. Anyone?
It's an office.
It's an office? Okay, great. Anyone else?
I've got him a desk right next to mine.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, the teenager has a desk in her room, and then the younger one has a place set up in his bedroom.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So we're going to talk about this a little bit. I'm just going to give you some tips. You have to do what's best for your family and what's conducive for your household. This is just some evidence-based techniques that I figured would be great for you guys. The first off, you want to eliminate those distractions. So make sure that it's quiet, make sure it's away from the TV, the video games, even their toys. For those of you who have home phones, it's okay to have a phone near the child's or student's designated workspace. However, make strict rules that they are only allowed to use that phone for educational purposes, or to call their teacher or email their teacher. And that's going to be key for you high school parents, because our high school parents or our high school kiddos are kind of attached to their phones. And so, give them those strict rules and hold them accountable to that. Younger kids, they need that optimal workspace for online learning. So make sure it's somewhere where they get the message that it's time to concentrate on education. Again, eliminate those distractions as much as possible. And so make use of natural light. Light triggers brain signals that affect our cognitive performance. So in fact, sunlight has been known to particularly effective in promoting performance and alertness, and it discourages sleepiness. And so if you have natural light or have a window that you can open, that would be a great thing to have. Kids exposed to natural light during the day have higher reading and math outcomes than their peers who have dark rooms or dark classrooms or dark offices. And the reason why that is because, often when we're in a dark space, what's the first thing we want to think of? What's the first thing we want to do? We kind of want to sleep, right? We're not able to focus solely on that computer screen or that, whatever you're using to do that online learning. And so make use of natural light as much as possible. Keep essentials in arm's reach. So think about all the things that your child needs throughout the day, and think of it like your school supplies list. So that could be pencils, rulers, pens, highlighters, sticky notes, the list goes on. Every time your child gets up to find something to use for that day, it can break that train of thought. And that may have led to a new comprehension or a new discovery. We often think about those light bulb moments of our kids, like, ooh, they get it. If they're having to get up from their designated workspace and find that, they're going to break that train of thought. Keep the notebook paper, the scrap paper, and graphing paper, if they're in calculus and algebra and all that, at hand, so that they can do their math problems. Especially with online learning, I'm going to make an assumption that math is probably pretty difficult for our kiddos. And so have everything readily available for them in that moment. Also, for your younger kids, spark that creative process. Give them that construction paper, those markers, those pens, those scissors, everything they need to kind of be creative when they're learning. So in my personal experience, my daughter, she's in 3rd grade. She loves art. So when I find her struggling to do her work, I have her do her spelling words and markers, because it gives her that idea of art, and it makes her more engaged versus having to just use a pencil. You want to organize those important files and equipment. Personalize it. It can be red for English, blue for science, green for social studies. Have those files and folders organized for them. But personalize it to your child's needs. So if your child likes pink, purple, orange, and green, then let them do it in those colors. Give them that opportunity. And then most importantly, guys, and I am big on this because I often forget my passwords, and I'm always having to click forget password and come up with different ones every time. Keep a list of their usernames and passwords for every system that they have in their online learning, whether that be Edgenuity, Canvas, anything like that. You want to make sure that it's already available, so they're not having to kind of go back and restart that process all over again. Okay, make sure everything's there when they start for the day, so they're not having to frantically go around in the morning getting everything they need for that day. Okay, so this is for you guys. This is setting boundaries. I think this is so very important for you, especially the parents that are still working from home. You've got to set boundaries. And so I'm so excited to share what I have for you. Okay, so first and foremost, you have to take care of yourselves. This is a lot that we're all treading water. It's all very new. And so take care of yourself. I used to teach, my specialty was pregnancy in women. And so when I used to teach parenting education to women, One of the biggest things I said was take self-care, because it's like the oxygen mask in the airplane, right? You know, you have to put your mask on before you can put your child's mask on, or your spouse's mask on, whoever's sitting next to you. But I even told them self-care can be 5 minutes. I remember a couple of years ago, they used to have a Twizzlers commercial where the mom is sitting in the closet and she's eating Twizzlers with the door shut and the kids are putting their fingers underneath the door. That's 5 minutes to eat that candy and enjoy it. That's okay for self-care. It's all about making sure that you take that time for yourself. Yeah, so take time for yourself. No, you know, here's the reality. You know, as our child's quote unquote teacher, we forget to approach them with the same heart as we do as a parent. So teach from your parent heart, because I know this can be frustrating for you. And if your student is not comprehending what he's learning, and it can be frustrating for you and overwhelming for you, remember to be kind, be patient, and try to make it as fun as it possibly can. Know your role. So the more times you share power with your student, again, giving them that voice, allowing them to have that input and finding that compromise, the more connection and cooperation and nurturing you're going to have in your relationship. And I am very big in nurturing and having that bond between child and parent. And so give them that voice, allow that time to negotiate and compromise and nurture your relationship as we continue forward through these unprecedented times. Remind your student of his or her role. So remember, you're a parent first, and that makes them your child first. So that means that you have authority over them, and you can exercise whatever you feel that is in their best interest, and that's okay to do it. But also you're also their teacher. So that means they should respect you just as they would if they were in school and respected their teachers. So make sure that they know their role when it comes to education in this virtual learning. And then allow your student a voice. And so I think this is big for all of you elementary kiddos who are doing Canvas or doing, you know, they're Zooming with their teachers. Allow them that time to be theirs. You know, sometimes as parents, we want to know what's happening and what they're talking about, and, you know, want to know what they're saying to their friends. But if your student is Zooming with their teacher, allow them that opportunity to be by themselves in their own moment, to connect with their peers if they're doing so, connect with their teacher individually without feeling that we're hovering over them. And I know I have been guilty of that several times before too. So I'm speaking on behalf of me as well. And so just kind of give them that space. And most importantly, you got this. You got this. The district is here to help you in whatever way we can. And we'll get together. Any questions so far? Thumbs up if it's going okay. Okay, cool.
I have some questions, but
Absolutely.
I was thinking maybe they're better at the end.
Okay, that's fine. We can do it at the end. Not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so assess and adopt. So ask your student daily what he or she learned or didn't learn. So again, I'm going to use my personal experience. When my daughter started kindergarten, I used to pick her up from school and be like, how was your day? And I would get one-word answers, good, right? And so I learned quickly that I have to ask more open-ended questions. So I started doing, you know, what is the best thing you learned today? Or what's the worst thing that happened today? Or what did you find the most fun today? And so, you know, make sure that you ask them those open-ended questions. If your child did not understand that context, you are fortunate because your child is doing virtual learning. Review that material. So if your child is doing math and on Monday they're learning addition, some sort of addition problem, and we know that it's gradually increasing and they're going to have to know that before they move on to the next, don't set them up for failure on Wednesday when they're having to do something else. And they don't know it and they don't know how to get to those steps. And so we always want to give them that confidence that they need. So review that material if you need so. And again, if you have questions on the material or you don't understand the material, please, please, please always feel free to reach out to anybody in the district so we can help your child be successful in their education process. And then it is okay to be flexible. That is key. Flexibility. It's okay. And we understand and we get it. Again, I go back to taking breaks, take a walk outside, exercise, yoga. Go Noodle is a great one that they do in the elementary schools. It's a little dance activity on YouTube. It's really fun songs. I really enjoy it myself. Allow a snack time. Our kids in elementary schools get snack time. Allow your kids to do the same. And then of course, play a game. They can take a few minutes to do some sort of, even if it's just like a little board game that has an educational purpose to it, you can tie it into their learning. And if for those of you that are working from home and have that opportunity for you to take a break and for you to play that game with them, that's great bonding and great nurturing, and our kids need that. And then for parents, it's okay to find a balance between work and school. Prioritize and know that you're doing everything you can. I am not saying that this is exactly what you need and this is what's going to work for your family. And it's not magical, and it's just tips. But you have to do what's best for your family and find that balance for you and what works best for you. It's going to be different for everyone. Again, I know this is not an easy process, and I know this is kind of hectic, and COVID has really thrown into a lot of our daily engagements. But just know that I am here to support you. Jenna that is on here, she's here to support you. We're all here to support you. Whatever you need from us, please, please, please. I stress this enough. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me or Jenna. Okay, and this. Celebrate hard work. Celebrate your hard work, because this is hard for you guys, and celebrate your kids' hard work. We are all adapting. We're all pivoting. I say this again, we're all treading water. Celebrate your hard work. You deserve it. You know, if you guys need to go, cook a nice meal, barbecue outside, enjoy outside time together as a family, I want you to celebrate yourself and your family. Okay, so I wanted to share these acts with you guys, and for your high school students, parents, this would be a great one. Take a picture of these if you want. I wanted to share a little bit with you. ShoshiQ, I believe is how you pronounce it, is a free personal planner designed for high school students. It organizes their assignments. It gives them a text message and an email reminder before each assignment is due. And it also gives them a calendar. And so, sometimes our kids don't know how to prioritize and how to schedule. So you may have to actually model that for them. You may have to sit them down and say, okay, on Monday, we have this assignment due. We need to make sure it's done by this time, and so forth and so forth. And so our children need to be demonstrated this so that they comprehend it and they get it. And so this may be something that you two could do together, again, bonding experience, to develop that calendar. Remember, the Milk, again, is the same thing. It's an organizational tool that works with mobile phones. Of course, high school students have their phones. It allows the students to add assignment due dates. It creates a to-do list so that they can check mark it off and scratch it off, which is great. I have noticed when I work with kids, if I give them a to-do list and they start scratching whatever they've done, same as we would do, they're motivated. They're like, oh, I can do this. I did get this done today. And so that's a great tech app to use as well. Let's see. Track Class offers features, and same with an organizer. They write and save notes. And so that's a great thing that this one does. And they can save files, even such as like essays that they've written. They can save slideshow presentations. This is a great one. That way they can go back and say, okay, last week I remember making a presentation, but I can't remember the research that I used. That would be a great app for them to go back to. To-do list, it's a to-do list. You can do it in 30 seconds. Same thing, they can mark it off. And then Square Leaf is a sticky note type app. And I don't know if you're like me, but I have sticky notes all over my little desktop. And if kids like sticky notes and they like to keep notes of activities or things that they're learning in the classroom, they can personalize it with that. They can pick the colors, they can pick the font. And so that's just, what works best for your child. So those are some tech apps that you could incorporate into their learning. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you again. I'm a mental health counselor. I am certified to treat clinical anxiety. And so I wanted to give you some transitioning back to school tips should your student come back to in person, how to help that anxiety. So the first one for our elementary kiddos, for those kiddos who may be in kindergarten, I can remember as a parent dropping my daughter off and her crying at the front door, and it broke my heart. So if your child has anxiety or is experiencing some sort of level of anxiety, do not hinder them from going to school that day. Give them that opportunity to go and try, because you're motivating them to continue forward. If you give in, sometimes they feel like, oh, okay, well, if I do it tomorrow, I can go home again. And so you don't want to learn in that wrong process. Attend that school. Missing school because of anxiety robs that child the chance to gain the mastery, make friends, and enjoy a successful in school day. And more importantly, develop that relationship with the teacher. Our kids need socialization. And so keeping them connected to their friends and their teacher is really big and important for anxiety. Get back to the basics. So with anxiety, you have to take care of your physical health. We have in our brain what's called the amygdala. We all have it. And so we all experience some level of anxiety. It's those nervous feelings, okay? The amygdala is the response of fear or anger or something that has scared us previously or is new to us. It causes us to either like freeze, we're like stuck in our tracks, we run away from it, or we fight it off. It's kind of like a bear, like we're in a bear in the woods. We're either gonna fight that bear off, we're gonna run away from that bear, or we're gonna freeze in our tracks and hope that bear walks away. So because we have the amygdala, we all experience anxiety. One of the biggest things with anxiety is to take care of your physical health. If your child or student experiences any type of anxiety when they come back to school, they need to get adequate sleep. That's going to be key. We can't be effective and concentrate if we didn't get enough sleep that night. More importantly, eat nutritious foods. I'm going to tell you guys a secret. Chicken, grilled chicken, not fried chicken from like McDonald's or anything like that, but grilled chicken has been known, research-based, to increase your level of serotonin. Serotonin is the feeling in our brain, those happy feelings, those love feelings, those I'm happy. So chicken is a great way. I don't know if you want to eat chicken every day for anxiety, but it's a great way to help your anxiety. Allow extra time in the morning. So our kids are just like us, and please excuse my dog. We get up early, I would assume, to get ready for work, to prepare for the day, to get our kids ready, all those good things. Our kids need the same. If we wake our kids up 10 minutes before they have to go to school, they're not prepared. We're already setting them up for failure because they're already being rushed, having to get ready, etc. And so give them extra time in the mornings to not feel rushed and to get ready. Give them time to eat, to get dressed, and then prepare themselves for that day. Avoid those blanket statements. So avoid saying, don't worry about it. You'll be okay. You'll love it. It's going to be great. Normalize their feelings. Show them that you understand where they're coming from. Try to find out why they feel that way, what they're scared about, what's causing that anxiety to go back to school. If it's, I don't know where my classes are, then contact me. We'll figure out a way to draw a map for them to get around the high school if that's what you need, just to help them kind of reduce that anxiety before they go. Role play. If all of my kids, we role play skills. And the reason why we do that is because they need to be modeled and they need to be able to demonstrate it effectively. And so role play for your kids, how to introduce themselves, how to engage in a conversation, role play how they should say hello to their teacher, how they need to say their lunch number when they go to the cafeteria. If you role play with them, you're giving them that opportunity to practice and to be more successful when they have that time and that moment that activity or that skill needs to be demonstrated. And then be mindful of your words and responses. So I'm going to tell you right now, your kids listen and watch everything you do. Okay. And so be mindful of things you say. If you are overwhelmed or anxious or frustrated, so they're going to be frustrated, overwhelmed, and anxious as well. Okay. So here are some ways to check in on someone who has anxiety. These are just some questions you can ask. You can say, what's been the hardest thing for you to deal with lately? I'm concerned about you. Please tell me how I can help. Is there anything I can do to help you feel safe? What makes you feel most at ease? What was the best part of your day? What was the worst part of your day? Again, I think you heard me say that earlier. I learned very quickly I could not ask my daughter, how was your day? Because I would get one-word responses. Is there anything I can do to support you through this? And I think that one is a great one, because if you have that open line of communication, they're going to hopefully tell you what they need and how they can be successful in that moment. And so these are great questions to ask if your child is experiencing some sort of anxiety or anything like that. And you can ask this again, even if they're not in person or coming back to in person and they're staying virtual. These are still great ways to open up that line of communication and reduce that stigma of mental health. Okay, so hopefully this video plays. I'm apologizing in advance if it doesn't, but hopefully it does. Let's see. Perfect. Can you all see that? You can see the screen? Okay, perfect.
Yes. Excuse me, it's just really hard to hear.
You can't hear it?
Just barely.
You can't hear it. Okay, well, I had that on full blast over here. So if you will, I can send that to you in an email if you will put in your chat and your email address, and I'll send you that video. Bear with me, guys. We're pivoting, right? We're pivoting. I apologize for that. Okay, so we want to model the coping skills. That's basically what it talked about. If your child is having a meltdown or they're overwhelmed, teach them how to effectively deep breathe. One way that you can do that is breathe in through your nose. Teach them to breathe in through their nose, hold it for 5 seconds, and blow out with everything they have. That's going to teach them how to deep breathe. For little kiddos, getting bubbles and blowing the bubbles will teach them how to deep breathe as well. I like to use muscle relaxation for kids who get angry or frustrated. You can tell them, I call it squeezing oranges. So if you pretend you have 2 oranges in your hand and you squeeze it as tight as you can, whatever they were mad about, they're not thinking about what made them mad. They're thinking about squeezing their hands as tight as they can. And then they let it go and relax their hands. They can hold it for 10 seconds. That's a great way to kind of take the mind off what was making them mad or giving them anxiety and focus just on this. And this is just muscle relaxation. So you want to model these coping skills. You want to, it improves their confidence, their self-esteem. If you have coping skills that work for you and you feel like it's appropriate for your kiddo, then please feel free to demonstrate that for them. Having them the ability to kind of self-regulate their emotions or journal or anything like that increases that instruction time. It increases that independence. It helps them be more assertive and know that, hey, this is what I need, and I need to deep breathe right now, and then I can come back and redo this assignment. It decreases the time you have to deal with crises or issues or any of those meltdowns. Coping skills is a great way. It's lifelong skills that we all need. I mean, I remember, if you remember that I told you, we all experience anxiety. we're going to, it's inevitable. It may not be extreme where we're having panic attacks, but we do get those nervous feelings, such as like when you're going for a job interview or you're trying something new, or you're having to meet someone you've never met before. You have a way, you have found a way to cope the best of your ability. And so we want to make sure that we teach our kids how to cope to their best ability. It empowers them, it improves their behavior, their problem solving skills, and then it helps with their empowerment. We want to empower our kids to make the best decisions that they can. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys this. The district, we are putting this on the district website. It is a virtual calming room. And I will show you and kind of walk you through this process. And your kids can go to this at any point. It'll be on the district website, but can you guys see that okay? Yes, I can't see anybody.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Thank you. Okay, so we have meditation resources. These are videos about how to meditate. This is a great coping skill. Music and calming sounds. So we've got white noise, which a lot of people like. We've got drums beating. We have online puzzles that can help your kids regulate their emotions. Sometimes we just need something else to distract our brain. We have online coloring pages. I talked about that muscle relaxation, that squeezing oranges. They're going to teach you that same thing in one of these videos. I put on here mental health resources. So we've got, it specifies between each one. If we have depression, then it's going to go to the National Institute for Depression. If we have anxiety, it's going to take you to an anxiety, how to understand anxiety, what you can do to help anxiety. It's got positive affirmations, suicide prevention resources, trauma support services, and then of course counseling resources if you need it. I've got, and I continue to update this daily, we've got resources for LGBTQ, we've got coping skills, and just different resources that I find that I'm gonna kind of pour into this website that you guys will have access to at any moment. I'm going to have it where it's each school will have its own little section. So it is a working process. It's going to take some time, but I wanted to share that with you guys so that you know it is there. And if your kid is unable to regulate his or her emotions, then you are free to go to that virtual calming room and have them watch the video or have them do a puzzle, and it's all free and it's all available to you. Okay, so I wanted to just talk about depression real quick. I'm sure you all know depression is pretty high right now between both adults and kiddos, just due to COVID and all of that. And so I wanted to kind of touch base on that really quick. Here is a resource flyer, or this is the community resource flyer, but I have every counseling resource in Tarrant County. You access any of those. And of course, if you ever need help with those referrals, then please feel free to reach out and I will connect you the best of my ability and connect you to that service that you may need. I wanted to allude to real quick talking about suicide. If your child expresses suicidal thoughts, has any drawings or self-harm, please go to the community resource for assistance. If they are in immediate crisis and they have attempted suicide or they have self-harm, you have these numbers right here. MHMR of Tarrant County has a 24/7 crisis line. They answer all the time. It's a crisis line, so they're going to ask that student those questions, and they're going to connect you to the appropriate services or authorities that they feel is necessary at that time. You can always call 911, and then of course you can take your child to the local emergency room for further assistance. Take a picture of this. This is your local mental health resources here in Tarrant County. The suicide prevention line. SAMHSA is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. That's where you're going to find resources for substance use. The National Institute on Mental Health is going to give you access to mental health diagnoses and symptoms and all those types of things. Of course, we have suicide prevention. The Texas Youth Hotline. The Trevor Project is for LGBTQ youth who may be experiencing some sort of suicidal ideations. Health and Human Services is your local 211. They're going to connect you to your financial assistance, your food assistance, you know, those services that you may need for your family. And then of course you have the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. And you can give that to your kiddo. If they experience a friend who may have some suicidal ideations, then they have that number they can call, and that's always available, and that is 24/7 as well. And they can chat on a text message. Okay, and then here is White Settlement ISD's virtual tech helpline. So if you are experiencing some sort of technology related issue, whether that be Canvas or Edgenuity or your computer's not working, please go to the district website, the technology support. You can click here to submit a request for technology, a help desk ticket, and they will reach out to you as soon as possible. They have how do you log into your computer for the first time, and this is where you're going to find all your technology support if you're experiencing some issues related to that. And then stay connected and ask questions. I spoke about this earlier. This is so important, guys. If you're struggling, please reach out to us. We have a Facebook page, we have a Twitter, we have, of course, the district website where everything is always updated. Desiree Coyle does a wonderful job at updating and trying to inform all of you parents everything that's going on. And so please make sure that you check the district website. Make sure that your email and phone number are correct in your Skyward account. This will allow you to receive those Skylert and school status messages from your teachers and from the district. And so make sure that that is correct. If you're having some sort of issue, please make sure that that is correct if you're not receiving those messages. Stay connected. It's very important. And then let's see here. And that's it, guys. That is my presentation.